Hey everybody, welcome on in. Hope you are doing well. A lot of you guys have been asking me, Gul'dan, how do you tackle phasmophobia? And I know so many of you guys are thinking about getting into the game, new into the game. Some of you have been playing the game for a long time and are kind of looking for little tips and pointers here and there. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to do a 7-part mini series kind of covering everything from the very basis of phasmophobia to the ghosts to how I attack the house, what I take in, how I set up the ghost room, and then we'll go all the way on to how to properly smudge a ghost. Now with the Theogen in the game, you can't hide, so you have to loop the ghost. Many of you guys have asked me how to loop, so we'll kind of cover that. And then last but not least, we'll talk about the cursed objects, kind of what the cursed objects do, how to use them in finding the ghost room, getting a ghost photo interaction, stuff like that. So part one is just going to kind of be loading in. I'm going to take you guys on a quick kind of tour of the van, the different screens and stuff that are in the van. And then, yeah, then that'll be kind of the end of video one. So we got everything set up and we're going to jump in here. But hopefully you guys are enjoying the new update. They kind of did the van layout. They did some of the ghosts. So hopefully you guys are enjoying the new ghosts. But this is the new van. They've kind of done a little bit of changes. Before, our stuff used to sit on shelves. It looks a little bit neater, I think, kind of hanging up instead of on the shelf. The only thing coming in a later update, once you pick something up off the shelf, unfortunately you can't put it back. The only item you can is the head-mounted cameras. But apparently down the road they're going to be adding a feature that we can add the stuff back to the shelves. Yeah, so your items are here. Your key will always be to the left of the keyboard. Basically, the monitor and the keyboard is how you look through the video cameras that are inside the house. This up here, just to kind of the upper right of the monitor screen, is your timer. So how the timer works is in amateur, it's 5 minutes. I have it set for amateur for the videos, but yeah, 5 minutes setup time in amateur, 250 in intermediate. You have 0 setup time in professional and nightmare. So basically what the setup timer is the ghost cannot hunt you within that time. So the ghost can interact with you. So it can open a door, it can throw things around, it can turn off and on light switches, stuff like that. But at no point can the ghost hunt. The only exception is if you use a cursed item. So once you use the cursed item will nullify your setup timer. We'll cover it in whatchamacallit. We'll cover it when we do the cursed item, but I believe that the summoning circle does not cancel out the setup timer. I'll have to double check, and we'll cover that when we do the cursed item thing. But yeah, so basically the setup timer allows you to go in, find the ghost room, set stuff up without having to worry about the ghost hunting you. The demon, and now I believe the Thay can hunt you very early on. Demon will hunt you at basically any sanity. So this is where the setup timer is kind of nice for people that are looking at getting into the game. This board here will cover your optional objectives. So these are objectives that you can do if you want. You don't have to do them at all. Objective 1, if you correctly identify what the ghost is, you will get objective 1. So if you go in, find the three things of evidence. The only one where you won't be able to is Nightmare, unless you have a Mimic. But otherwise, in Nightmare, you only get 2, so you kind of have to guess on the ghost. But in Amateur, Intermediate, and Professional, you will get three things of evidence. If it's a Mimic, you'll get 4. But so you'll pretty much discover what the ghost is almost every round. As far as objective 2, 3, and 4 goes, those are all up to you. Early on, money might be an issue, so coming up with smudge sticks or crucifixes, salt, extra candle or camera, stuff like that might be hard to come by. So first off, in the beginning, you might not be able to get all the different objectives, but basically all that is extra experience and money for you. Doing all the optional objectives will get you a full round. So for instance, in Amateur, if you do all 4 of the objectives plus fill the book with photos, or the ones that you can anyways, but doing the 4 objectives, finding the bone, the cursed item, will net you 100 experience in Amateur, 150 in Intermediate, 200 experience in Professional, and 250 in Nightmare. The only difference is when you do the bigger maps. So if you do prison, campsite, asylum, or high school, your figuring out what the ghost is worth more. Normally it's 10. If you do it on a bigger map, it's worth 30. I think asylum is worth 50. And then it's all a multiplier. So Amateur, it's 1 time, Intermediate 2, Professional 3, and Nightmare 4. So that's what'll give you kind of your full experience for the match. As we go into the house and start finding the ghosts and stuff, you'll kind of get to see how that works. But yeah, that's your optional objective board. Also too, in Amateur and Intermediate, it'll tell you what ghost it is, not the ghost type, but if you read, it says, like, I've done some more investigating for you. Looks like the ghost name is Leslie Johnson. This ghost also seems to respond to everyone. So I'm playing single player, so obviously the ghost has to, I'm everyone. I'm also alone. If you're playing with more than one person, so if there's 2 of you, 3 of you, 4 of you, if it's an everyone ghost, a lot of times, like if you're trying to get spirit box or stuff like that, you're going to have somebody else in the room with you. If it's an alone ghost, it's just that you have to be in there alone for the ghost to kind of interact with you. Once you get to Professional, the board won't tell you anymore whether it's an alone ghost or an everyone ghost. So you're going to kind of have to figure that out on your own. When you go into the room, if you're in there by yourself, the ghost really isn't doing much. It's not throwing anything. It's not interacting with anything. It doesn't want to talk on the spirit box. Try bringing somebody in with you and see how the ghost reacts with 2 of you. If all of a sudden your friend comes in and you get spirit box, it starts throwing stuff around, that's an indication to let you know that it's an everyone ghost. So going on through the hunt, if you are trying to get certain, like get to write in the book, or you're trying to get an EMF 5, you might want to have somebody come into the ghost room with you. And then moving through the screens, so top left will show you the layout of the house. In Amateur, the power is on as soon as you walk in the door. In Intermediate, Professional, and Nightmare, you have to turn it on your own. So Tanglewood's only 2 stories, so we can't click up to find the upstairs. We can click basement, and it'll show us in the little green box that that's where the power is. So like I said, in Amateur, the power is already on, so we don't have to worry about going to turn on the power box. In Nightmare, you don't know where it is. So Nightmare, it won't show you the little green box. So you kind of have to know, if you've played the maps long enough, you'll know ahead of time where the box can possibly spawn in each map. So like for instance, Tanglewood, it can either spawn in the basement or it spawns upstairs in the garage. So when you first go into the house to turn the power on, if you look in the garage and it's not there, then you know it's in the basement kind of thing. The next screen to the right is the sound sensors. I'll show you how the sound sensors work. So basically, once you take a sound sensor, which is these little doohickey things right here, once you take those into the house and set them up, it'll show kind of like a graph bar. It'll show you where you've set them up, and then if the ghost makes any sound, if it does anything, it'll register on the sound sensor. One thing people do sometimes is they mistaken the sound sensors with the motion sensors. So motion sensor doesn't pick up sound, it only picks up motion. So if you have it set up in a hallway and the ghost is walking in the hallway, the motion sensor won't pick it up. Only when the ghost breaks the line of the motion sensor will you actually hear the motion sensor go off. But I'll take a motion sensor and a sound sensor into the house to kind of show you guys the difference there. And then right below the house map, you have your sanity. This is very important as you're going through your hunt. So in amateur and intermediate, the ghost doesn't change rooms. The ghost is kind of wherever you find the ghost, that's where the ghost stays. In professional and nightmare, the ghost has a chance to move rooms, and the ghost moving rooms is based on your sanity. So once your sanity starts dropping to around the 75, 70 mark, the ghost has a chance to move rooms. In nightmare, you don't have this, so you have no clue what your sanity is. So you have to kind of self monitor your own sanity, so you know that, okay, if I go in the house, yeah, I've been in the dark a little bit longer than normal. When you come out, you might want to pill up. When you're on amateur, intermediate, or professional, when you come out, you can take a look and you can actually see what your sanity is. Most of the ghosts won't hunt you till below 50, so in the 40 to 50 range. Shade will hunt you at 25. A demon can hunt you at any sanity, and I'm pretty sure the Fae can as well. Or the Fae might be close to how a demon was before it, to 60%, but I'll show you this once we actually start going into the house to do the hunt. And the total activity board is basically the activity that the ghost is doing in the house. So right now it's registering 0. That's because we haven't entered the house. The ghost doesn't really even know we're here yet. Anytime you see a 10, that's either a very strong ghost activity or it's hunting. So there is a chance that the ghost could actually spawn. You could get a ghost interaction with the 10, but it'll fall off pretty quickly. Ghost hunts will take a little bit longer, and you'll also hear the front door latch. So sometimes during a ghost interaction, it'll just, or if it manifests, if it shows itself a ghost event, it'll close the front door, but it won't latch it. You can actually hear the deadbolt click. If it's a hunt, you'll hear the click every time. So you'll hear the door close, then you'll hear like a deadbolt click. So yeah, like if the ghost touches anything, moves anything around, it'll show on this board like a 2, a 3. If no one's in the house and all of a sudden this spikes up to a 5, that's an EMF 5 ghost. So 9.9 times out of 10 you can mark EMF 5 in the book. There's also kind of a special line for the twins. So the twins, they'll do a double interaction, which kind of makes a curve in the line. But that's kind of have to, well, we'll have to have the twins in order for me to show you that. But for anybody that's kind of curious, I know there are other YouTube videos out there that will show you kind of like what the actual curve looks like, but it's basically, it goes from like say 1 to 2 at a certain angle, and then all of a sudden it'll go from like 2 to 5 at a different angle. So if there's like two lines kind of at different angles, more than likely that's a twins. It's just doing a double interaction at different intensity, but yeah, so that's kind of the screens in the van. So now I'll quickly kind of go over the items that are in the van. So the way they split this up is there's kind of a left side and a right side. So the right side items are pretty much everything that you need to figure out what the ghost is. So like the video cameras are used to find ghost orbs. The tripods right below them are to set the cameras up in the rooms. So you can either just walk up to it, hit E to pick up the camera, or if you hover the camera over the tripod like this and then press F, it'll set the camera on the tripod. So yeah, the cameras are used to look for dots. Once you have, or orbs, sorry. Once you have a dot set up on the floor, then you can also see the dots through the cameras. And once the cameras are set up in the house, then we'll use the computer screen here so that we can watch the cameras while they're in the house. But yeah, so you got your cameras, like I said, for looking for orbs of dots, your tripods. Then you have a few different flashlight options. So on the left here is your regular flashlight. The beam isn't very good on it, but if you don't have enough money to buy anything else, a flashlight is better than no flashlight. And also they give you one. So if you don't have any money, the game will basically give you enough stuff that you can still figure out what the ghost is and take a few pictures. So you'll get like one video or one photo camera, you'll get one EMF, one voice box, one regular flashlight. You'll get one book, one dot, one camera, and you don't get a tripod. So with starter items, you will get enough that you can figure out what the ghost is, but being able to buy extra stuff kind of makes it really easy. So these are your regular flashlights. I don't know if I can show the difference, but see, like you can kind of, it's kind of hard. Like that's a regular flashlight, and that's the strong flashlight. So you can kind of see the difference. I can show you guys too once we're in the house. But even if you look at the light beams, like you can see this one's kind of more orangey, this one's more white. So it's going to be a little bit brighter for you, but yeah, so these are your regular flashlights. These are your strong flashlights. If you have the money, I do recommend buying a strong flashlight. It makes it a little bit easier to see around in the house and in the dark. The only thing though, it does cost money, and unfortunately in this game, if you're the one that puts the stuff in and you die, you lose all of your stuff. So early on it can be a little bit challenging trying to get money, especially if you're dying all the time. But yeah, so regular flashlight, strong flashlight. This column right here is basically to look for footprints and fingerprints. So fingerprints is needed as ghost evidence. Footprints is used to fill the book. Footprints isn't fingerprints. Fingerprints isn't footprints. So if you get footprints, that doesn't mean you have a fingerprint ghost. But the UV light flashlight will help you look at the backside of doors. If you have salt piles down, you can look at the salt piles for to try to get footprints. The neon lights still do the same thing. Basically, it's just kind of makes it easier. So you grab it, you'll activate it and throw it down on the floor. So it's kind of, it alleviates having to carry around a UV light when you're taking pictures of footprints and stuff. But but that's another option for you too. Ghost writing book, basically you put it down in the ghost room. If the ghost writes in it, if it's a ghost writing ghost, it'll write in it and give you an evidence. If not, it won't. Spirit box, same thing. When you're in the ghost room, when you talk to the spirit box, if it's a spirit box ghost, it'll answer. After the latest update, you might not want to use the spirit box straight away. The Moroi has it puts a curse on the players, and it's not 100% confirmed yet, but it's been speculated through much of the Phasmophobia community that the Moroi's curse comes from the spirit box. So you don't want to walk into the house, find the ghost room, and then use the spirit box, get spirit box evidence, and then keep hunting. Because if it is a Moroi, it will curse you and your sanity will start draining. So you might want to hold off on the spirit box till later, or if you do use the spirit box early on and you don't know if Moroi is still an option for you, you might want to come back out and take pills. But yeah, so that's the spirit box. EMF sits right beside it, and then underneath it are your photo cameras. So each photo camera has 5 pictures, so you basically got 15 pictures to take into the house with you. So like I said, the right side of the board pretty much is your everything you need to figure out what the ghost is. So like you can get fingerprints, all that kind of stuff. You also need the UV light for footprints and stuff like that. But the right side's pretty much everything you need to figure out what the ghost is. The left side of the board, it's more to help you with your secondary, your optional objectives. The only one that isn't really is the temperature. The temperature can help you find where the ghost room is. But like I said, in amateur, the power's on, which means the house is warm. In intermediate, professional, and nightmare, with us having to turn on the power, the house is cooler to begin with. So if you're playing with more than yourself, like if there's 2 or 3 of you, the thermometer is definitely something good to take into the house with you. If you're playing by yourself, you still can take it in with you. The only thing is it might take you a while to actually figure out where the ghost room is. So you could probably take in some other items instead, and I'll go through that when we cover like going into the house and setting up the ghost room. But basically crucifixes, so if they're within 3 meters of the ghost, when the ghost goes to hunt you, it'll bite the crucifix instead. There is an optional objective to actually prevent the ghost from hunting with the crucifix. So you get 2 of those. 4 sound sensors. I'll show you kind of quickly how those work. So basically you put them down, say in a room, it'll give you a round ring. Anytime the ghost walks through that yellow circle area, it'll highlight on the board and show you, so you know that the ghost is moving around in that area. Salt piles you can put down for extra photos. So you put the salt down, the ghost will step and you'll hear the ghost walking. All you do is just shine the UV light or the glow stick, have that on the ground, and you'll be able to see footprints kind of start showing up. The only exception to this is a wraith. If the wraith steps in salt and you hear it walking around and there's no footprints, you know right away it's a wraith. But there's your salt. These are your parabolics. So anytime the ghost makes a sound, walks, steps, touches something, opens a door, you'll pick it up on the parabolic. Banshees also have a banshee wail, so it's like it's kind of like a scream that they have, so you'll be able to hear that through the parabolic. So if you're not 100% sure you have a banshee and you want to kind of test out to make sure that you do or you don't, you can take in a parabolic and you can kind of listen for, you will hear ghosts talking, but it's not, that's doesn't let you know whether or not it's a banshee or not. It'll actually be a distinctive wail. And the same thing with the Diogen. The Diogen has a special sound that you can hear through the spirit box, but we can kind of go into that later on. But yeah, there's the parabolic smudge sticks. Sometimes you have to cleanse the ghost room. A smudge stick will anger a ghost, so if you go into a room, smudge it, there's a chance that you might get an interaction. The ghost might show itself, it might appear to you. Also, if the ghost is hunting, the smudge stick basically blinds it. So if the ghost is coming towards you, you have a smudge stick and a lighter, and you light the smudge stick. The ghost, when the ghost gets close to you, it blinds it for 5 or 6 seconds, which allows you to run away and hide. So those are very nice to have kind of when the ghost is hunting. There's also an objective to cleanse. And then there's an optional objective to repel the ghost when it's hunting. So that's where you'll need a smudge stick and lighter. These are your motion sensors, which basically puts out a line. You'll be able to see the line kind of on the map. I'll show you that quickly before the end of this video. But yeah, the motion sensors will let you know if the ghost is in that room, whether it's walking from that room to a different room. And there's also a optional objective to get the ghost to walk through a motion sensor. These are your head-mounted cameras. So if a player has this on and is in the house and there's somebody in the van, it allows them to see through the camera on your forehead. Lighters are needed to light the candles and to light the smudge sticks. The candles, so if you're holding a candle and a lighter, all you do is hit F if you're using the default controls, and it'll automatically light your candle. If your candle drops or whatever, it'll go out. All you gotta do is just pick it up, hit F again, and it'll light it. Same with smudge stick. If you're holding a smudge stick in your hand and you have a lighter, all you have to do is just hit F and it'll activate the smudge stick. You have to kind of be careful because sometimes they were supposed to fix it, but I know sometimes you can set a smudge stick off with a wayward candle, so you just kind of have to be a little bit careful. And last but not least is sanity pills. So once your sanity starts dropping down, say you're at 60% and you're scared that the ghost might hunt you, all you have to do is come back here, pick it up, and then you right click on it. My sanity is still high, so it won't allow me to consume it right now, just to kind of stop people from wasting them in multiplayer. But and another thing too with the candle, if you walk into a house with a lit candle, your sanity will not drain. So like if you're in bigger maps like high school, prison, asylum, maps like that, it's kind of nice because it'll give you a chance to walk around and try to figure out where the ghost is without it, like automatically losing sanity right from the beginning. But so we'll grab a flashlight. I'll take a motion and I'll take a sound sensor. I'll just kind of quickly show you guys the difference between here. And then yeah, and then that'll be the end of basically video 1. Just kind of going over all the equipment and stuff. So yeah, so you can see on amateur, power's on right away. Like I said, in intermediate and up, it won't be. You'll have to actually turn it on. So we'll set the sound sensor in the living room. The sound sensors have to be set down on the ground, so either on a table or on the floor. The motion sensors can be set down on the floor. They're more helpful if they're on the wall. So you do kind of have to watch because some ghosts do crawl. So if you have the motion sensor up here, a crawling ghost probably won't trigger that motion sensor. So what I usually try to do is I always try to set the motion sensors down low. So this way, if you have a crawling ghost or whatever, it still will activate the motion sensor. And then we'll just come back out here quickly. You'll be able to see the timer started. So the timer starts once you open the front door of the house. So yeah, so the timer's going, but here you can see, so this orange line right here, this is the line emitted from the motion sensor. So if the ghost comes walking down, walks through that line, you'll hear a beep, and then it'll go from orange or red to green. And then after a certain amount of seconds, it'll go back to red. This orange circle here, this is the sound sensor. So it's showing that the sound sensor is in the living room, and then it'll display a bar. So see right there, so there's 2%. So somewhere in this circle, it's picking up sound. So that with us not being in the house, that means that the ghost is moving something or it's opening a door. See, there it goes, the triggers again. But yeah, so that's the difference between the motion and the sound. For anybody that was curious about that. So yeah, motion will be a line, sound will be a circle, and it's sound will pick up sound, motion will pick up motion. But yeah, so that's basically video number 1. Kind of an intro guide to the van, kind of the screens in the van, the board, the computer, and then basically all the items. So like I said, the board on the right is basically everything you need to figure out what the ghost is. On the left, it's all your secondary objective stuff to help you kind of get all your optional objectives. But for those of you that are looking to get into Phasmo, hopefully this video helps you out. And yeah, for those of you that have been playing for a while, in the comments below, tell me what you guys are thinking of the new update that came out and what your favorite ghost is. So hopefully you guys have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you later. Bye for now.